Welcome back to Fox Sports News. And Michael Zerafa has promised to end Jeff Horn's career tonight as the pair go head-to-head in their much-anticipated rematch. Joining us now for all the latest is boxing commentator Paul Upham. Paul, hello to you.
That's safe.
Plenty of fireworks ahead of this one. What do you make of it all?
Well, it seems like the Australian Boxing Day has come early this year because you've got two guys here are desperate for victory. They both need to win tonight. As much as Michael Zerafa had a great win in Bendigo the first time around and stopped Jeff Horn, he has to follow it up, because if he doesn't win again, people are just going to say, well, you beat a Jeff Horn who hadn't prepared properly. For Jeff Horn's perspective, he must win tonight, because if he doesn't beat Zerafa this time, people are going to write him off and say it's the end of his career. So they're really desperate, and I can make a case for both of them to win tonight, and that's what makes it so exciting to see on main event.
Yeah, certainly. But do you think Zerafa's stepped over the mark a bit? Was he right opposing Glenn Rushton, or...?
He was very respectful to Jeff Horn, which I appreciate. He was a little bit critical of Glenn Rushton as a trainer, but hey, when Glenn Rushton trained Jeff Horn to beat Manny Pacquiao, the great Manny Pacquiao, everyone thought he was one of the greatest trainers of all time. Wasn't so good Jeff Horn against Terence Crawford, but hey, in America, Terence Crawford is one of the best in the world pound for pound. My only query would be, you know, he said after the loss to Zerafa, Glenn Rushton, that Jeff hadn't trained properly. Well, my theory would be, why did you let him not train properly as the trainer? You've got to take responsibility for that. I think Michael and his team are a little bit critical on some technical aspects of his training, but each trainer's a little bit different. In the end, the results are in the ring and how your fighter wins and loses. It
was a pretty disappointing loss for Jeff Horn earlier in August. Do you think he's a different fighter now, going up against Zerafa?
Well, if he's not different, we'll see exactly the same thing and Zerafa will win. Look, if he can't get motivated for this fight, he's never going to be motivated again at the age of 31. You can't have every fight against Manny Pacquiao outdoors and 50,000 people in Brisbane supporting you. You've got to beat all the time. You've got to be perfect in boxing, because otherwise you fall back in the pack. It's not like an AFL game where you lose during the season and you can still make the grand final and win the grand final. You've got to stay on top. So look, he needs to be better. I'm sure physically, the training, he will learn his lesson. But is it enough on the night? Does he have the emotional scars and the mental scars of that beating he took? And we'll see that in the ring tonight. Yeah,
they both made weight. So which one has an advantage, or are they pretty much even heading into tonight?
They seem even on the scales, but the question I've got is that Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao welterweight. He's 2 weight classes up. He's up at middleweight. I don't think he should be a middleweight. I think he's more a super welterweight. I think that's where Zerafa has an advantage. He's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. But on the scales, everything's seemed good. Jeff looked to be in good condition, so I think that's a positive for Jeff. He's going to feel good about himself. So look, there's no real advantage there. The only advantage is if he's not really a middleweight, and Jeff Horn should be at super welterweight.
The fight is up in Brisbane. Do you reckon that gives Horn a bit of an edge?
Well, it's not like Michael Zerafa's going to the backyard of Mexico and having a fight down there. Look, it's an Australian crowd. Look, Jeff Horn will be lifted by his fans there in Brisbane, no doubt. But I think Michael Zerafa will also be lifted by having a big crowd there and a live television audience on main event. So look, I think it helps. I'm not going to discount it, but I think also the preparation is already there, regardless of what the fans are doing outside the ring. We're going to see the best on the night.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Zerafa, I'm sure, would want to silence that crowd, so definitely gives him more motivation. How important, I guess, like for Zerafa to win, what does he really need to do? What's the most important thing he needs to do?
He just wants to replicate what he did last time. He wants to control the centre of the ring, come forward. He's really good going forward, land those big punches. He wants to hurt Horn early. In the first fight, we saw Horn down on the canvas in the second round, and that set the tone for the fight. Zerafa wants to take control, use that big reach advantage that he has, and when Horn comes in, pick him off and win the rounds, build up the points. He doesn't have to win by knockout. That would be great, but just dominate the rounds.
Yeah, and what about Horn? Do you reckon it'll go the distance tonight?
Well, look, Horn talked about in this lead-up about improving his defence, and that was crucial because he took way too many punches in the first fight. You can't get away with that sort of thing in boxing. He has to use his head movement, he has to use his defence better, and he just can't rush in. He just can't rush in and be wild about it. He has to be technical and use his boxing skills. So I think we'll see a cautious Jeff Horn early. He'll try and control the pace of the fight, throw lots of punches, but he doesn't want to take those big punches from Zerafa.
Yeah, certainly set to be a blockbuster. Can you see Zerafa, though, given a title shot with this, if he was to win?
If Zerafa wins, no doubt, his name is going around the world again as the man who beat Manny Pacquiao. He will get a title shot. There's no doubt about that. That's what the guys are working towards. They both want world title fights, and they must win. And that's what there's so much desperation tonight. Everything is on this fight because the loser goes right back to the bottom of the pack.
Do you reckon it'll end Horn's career?
Look, he's only 31 years of age. So, look, if it was a close fight, he could say, look, OK, I'm not really a middleweight, I understand that. I'll go back down to super welterweight. So it's too hard to say. If he was knocked out badly early, then maybe, yes, he needs to reconsider his career.
What's your prediction? Who do you reckon will win?
I'm going to lean towards Zerafa because I think he was so impressive last time. I think he's the true middleweight. But then having said that, you know, Jeff Horn can come out and prove me wrong and show us if he's the Jeff Horn that beat Pacquiao, he can win again.
Yeah, certainly. There's a couple of other Aussie boxers on the card tonight. What can you tell us?
From the weekend, George Kambosos Jr., he won on Saturday night in Madison Square Garden, New York, and he's 18-0 at lightweight. He's going to be one of our future stars. One to watch going forward. And Daniel Lewis just came back from sparring Terence Crawford, the pound-for-pound #1 in America. He's fighting in Hurstville on Saturday night for the first WBC regional title of his career. So they're two names, both 26 years of age, Daniel Lewis and George Kambosos Jr., two names to watch for the future. They're going to take us to world title fights, I've got no doubt.
Writing them down right now.
Get those names down, follow these guys. They're going to really lift Australian boxing over the next couple of years.
Can't wait to watch. Paul Upham, thanks for the update.
Thanks, Sophie.